So Lizzo's album dropped. And before we get into this, I want you to know that this is not a video where I'm going to be bashing Lizzo. I actually really enjoy her music. I enjoy her artistry. So I'm not here to bash her at all. If you're looking for that, I'm sure there are plenty of other creators on this platform who are doing that, and you can get your fix there. But I really just want to analyze what people are calling this fall off for her, because I think it's interesting that people are pegging her as an artist that is falling off, considering all of the accolades and accomplishments that she also has. But before we get too far into things, welcome! My name is Antoinette Chanel. Thanks so much for being here if it's your first time. If it's not your first time coming back, I really appreciate you. And as I mentioned in my intro, Lizzo's album did not do very well upon drop. It was released at the beginning of June, and I think those first week sales clocked in at fewer than 2,700 copies in week 1, and then fewer than 700 copies in week 2, and then I don't know if anybody was counting after that. And so leading up to this album drop, we saw Lizzo complaining that the label was not promoting her. She said that she wasn't able to get a lot of support from the people at the label. She said she had ideas, they weren't really listening to them or implementing them, and that was her gripe. And then she followed this up with a video of herself hanging posters to promote her album. I think at the beginning of that video, she said, if my label isn't going to hang album posters, then I will hang them. And she hangs them up, and she's wearing a cute little outfit. And even further after that, we also saw a collaboration between Lizzo and Chili's that someone told me that she said that she made a lot of money off of that. I hope that's the truth. And so in the last couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of think pieces popping up, talking about Lizzo's fall off and why she's a flop and the reason why she can't sell anything anymore and how the public ain't effing with her anymore, and on and on and on. And I just thought it was really interesting because Lizzo isn't a new artist, nor is she just a plain boring artist. I don't think that those are good adjectives to describe her. Lizzo is a skilled musician who plays the flute. She knows how to write and read music. She writes her lyrics, and better than any artist that I have been exposed to in the modern world, I would say Lizzo shifts genres better and more seamlessly than anybody that I've ever seen before. But I think that if we're being honest, there are several factors that have played a part in why some of the public really doesn't want anything to do with Lizzo, and the remaining part of the public, or at least the majority of which, just couldn't care less. I believe that Lizzo's fan base is fractured at this point. I think that the sexual harassment lawsuit sort of surprised and took people for a loop. Also, this idea of her body shaming or fat shaming anyone, as well as the claims of her allegedly creating a hostile workplace environment by encouraging her dancers and other parts of her team to engage in acts that they really didn't want to engage in. And I don't think that Lizzo helped her case any by coming out to announce that, oh, the truth is finally out and I have been vindicated, and yes, y'all, I'm moving on from this negativity. While I totally get the idea of like wanting to celebrate every single win that you possibly get, I just don't think that that landed well with the public, because I don't think the public is willing to accept that type of a message from someone like a Lizzo. And I'll get into that a little bit further later. But as I mentioned, I think that her day one fans, people who have been rocking with Lizzo since like 2016 and maybe before, I think that they were very put off by all of these legal claims. And just to clarify, the fat shaming and discrimination claims were the ones that were thrown out or dismissed. The sexual harassment / hostile work environment, as well as alleged misconduct during tour events and rehearsals, those two claims are still still ongoing. So she is still fighting a legal battle. She likely can't speak about a lot of these things, just like the women who have accused her also probably can't speak about these things. And so we're probably not going to hear anything about it until something gets decided or ruled. But overall, friends, I think that the reason why Lizzo is having a harder time with the public right now might be her attitude. Now, this isn't to say that I think that Lizzo doesn't have a right to be happy, to be joyous, to be sexual, to be any of those things. Not at all. I actually rock with Lizzo's discography pretty heavy. I think a lot of people just tend to assume that her fan base must all be big girls, but I don't believe that that's true. I think Lizzo has fans of all shapes and sizes. I think she has fans of all ages too. I know that there are some older people who really love Lizzo's music. They think that she brings a lot of great positivity to the world and to the industry. There's also a lot of younger people who feel that way. But I think it's this like,
ha ha, I beat the allegations,
haters sort of stance that she took that put people off. I will also speak for myself as a fan of the album Special. I was a little disheartened to see that when she came back after that album, which I think she dropped that in 2022, I remember it was while I was on vacation, and that was so much fun to get to listen to a new album while I was on vacation with a really dear friend of mine. It was great. We felt like that album was dedicated to us. That's how much we were rocking with it on our vacation. But she sort of followed that up with like a rejection of the Special era. And I get it, okay? As somebody who also creates art as a writer, I can see where Lizzo might be coming from as an artist when she's like, okay, you guys liked the Special, Lizzo, but that's not all I can do. Can we please move on? Right around this time was when she also started losing weight. She was like doing smoothies and exercising, and it looked like she was trying to make some healthy changes in her life. But those healthy changes don't always land well when you have an audience that you have built around the idea of body positivity. And so some of those fans might have felt betrayed because they felt like, well, Lizzo, I thought you were trying to get us to love ourselves as we were, but you didn't want to stay as you were. And so overall, as somebody who was a really big fan of Special, to see her paint over Special and sort of reject that as like, okay, that's over, I was a little bummed about it because I really enjoyed that era of Lizzo. I felt like she was sort of coming into the larger sphere of mainstream, if you will. And I loved that for her. I love any sort of visibility for people who are outside of what society tells us we're supposed to look like. So if you are deviating from European beauty standards as a woman, if you have a body type and size that is subversive to what society has deemed acceptable, I think that that's great. And I really applauded that for her because I thought, man, this is going to be huge for whatever else she's going to do with her artistry. But then I saw her complaining about algorithms, and that was where I sort of, my eyebrows were raised, if you will, because why is Lizzo, of all people, talking to us about algorithms and how hard it is to get traction and how she's not able to get the attention of the public and how nobody knows that she's dropping this album? Isn't that the same thing that you had to do back in like 2013, 2012, Lizzo, when you were homeless and living in your car and showering at the gym, like way before Good as Hell or any of that stuff ever really blew up? You had to force your way onto the public consciousness, and you did. So I was a little taken aback by hearing her complain about that, because it's like, well, Lizzo, that's your thing. You know how to capture the algorithm. So creativity, Lizzo. But if there was a nail in the coffin for Lizzo and her public image, I would say it was around the time that she started seemingly defending abusers. And again, it's like, please don't take me wrong. I get where she's coming from in the scenario of the apple. Yeah, if I walk into a grocery store and steal an apple, every single person in my phone should not be counted as an accomplice to that. Of course not. But Jeffrey Epstein wasn't stealing apples, Lizzo. You've got to know that. Even if you're not like invested in what's going on with the Epstein files and the war that is against the Epstein class. Why'd you have to speak on it that way? Why did you have to reduce what has been a very serious matter for many, many women who were children when this began? Why did you have to reduce that to something so trivial? Ghislaine wasn't just a trafficker. And it's very important that we're clear on that. Ghislaine Maxwell did a lot more than just traffic women for Jeffrey and his rich buddies. She was also a manipulator. She preyed on young women who came from broken homes that were filled with lots of conflict and chaos. These young girls were lost and looking for safety, and Ghislaine seemingly offered the illusion of that in order to get them to trust her. Meanwhile, she knew exactly what she was going to use them for. I have the book on my shelf back there. I'm not going to go back there and grab it right now, but you need to read Nobody's Girl by Virginia Giuffre. Everything that you need to know about Jeffrey Epstein, these files, why this is such a big ass deal. It's all in there. And I just felt like that was a very uninformed way to go about things, to speak about things. But then again, someone also brought to my attention that Lizzo is a Chris Brown fan. So I suppose we can't really expect much else from her. But leaving her personal preferences and details out of it, because I don't really care about what Lizzo does in her private life, what she's listening to, who she's, I don't care. I think a better way for this sort of rollout and for the handling of a lot of these public legal things would have just been for her to not say anything at all. I know it's tempting to feel like, okay, I gotta win in this, so let me post about it because I feel good, you know, and the video where you're not saying anything and the text is all appearing on top of you. I mean, that is all made to look very self-righteous. I think instead, just let the media report on what parts of your case have been settled, what parts of your case have been dismissed. Let the media report on that. And in the meantime, while the media is doing that, you let your fans know that you are working on new music, you got a new sound you're experimenting with, you're excited for them to hear it. I think that would have been a better way to go. Continue to shine the way that we knew you before. Continue to stay committed to your artistry, that beautiful music, because I cannot stress this enough to y'all. Lizzo is a musician. She is a classic flautist. Like, what are we talking about? Flaunt? Where? And while continuing to make it all about the music, about the project, and about the fans, just stay in that. The ones who are rocking with you, they'll see it. They'll pick it up and they'll run with it. And everybody else can just fall by the wayside. Don't give people additional reasons to tune you out by speaking up about controversial figures such as Jeffrey Epstein or Diddy or Chris Brown or any of the like. And overall, I really do hope good things for Lizzo long term. I hope that her next project can land a little bit better. I think that the music needs some work because I gave a listen to this latest album and I gotta say, it's not my favorite. And as somebody who rocks with the whole discography, like going all the way back to Lizzo bangers, this was very below what I would have expected from someone like her. And that's all I've got to say. I just think that the PR aspect of things, she's getting in her own way. She is putting her foot in her mouth when she really can just let her artistry speak for itself. And I hope that she does that in the future because I do not see Lizzo as a flop. I don't see her as a fly-by-night artist who is here today, gone tomorrow. No, I believe that Lizzo still has a lot of great stuff to offer us, and I look forward to hearing it and partaking in that. It's just not this project, I don't think. Not this project and not this PR cycle, definitely. But hopefully she can clean that up. Those are my thoughts. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more from me, consider hitting that subscribe button so you can see all my playlists and get notified every time I upload to this channel. If you want to keep up with behind the scenes lifestyle stuff, you can follow me on Threads. Take care.